Hello, I'm Brendan. It's nice to meet you. Today, I'm going to tell you a story. It's called Nectar Collectors. There was once a bee called Beatrice. Her friends just called her Bee. She was a honeybee and lived in a hive. Some hives are made by bees, and some are made by humans. Why do we keep bees? Well, some people like to eat their honey, and others hope to help flowers and plants grow. She didn't live alone, but with thousands and thousands of other bees. She had loads of sisters, but only a few brothers. A honeybee has many jobs: cleaning, feeding, guarding. But there's one special job only some bees get to do: forage for nectar. They are the nectar collectors. You see, bees and flowers work together. Out in the garden, the bees fly, inflated closer and closer by the colourful petals, wiggling their antennae to catch a sniff. Into the flower their long tongue goes, and slurp, up the sweet nectar flows. Back to the hive they fly, and blip, into the beeswax it goes. With a flap and a lick, the next step is slick. Her sisters transform it into golden gooey honey. The bees help the flowers too, carrying little bits of golden pollen stuck to their legs. Onto a new flower they land, dropping their gifts and helping fruit grow. Amazing, isn't it? Today is a special day. This was going to be her first day as a forager bee, a nectar collector. She was ever so delighted. Over here, cried the head honey maker. Welcome to your first day of foraging. Your job is simple. Find Nectar Bay and bring me some nectar. We'll do the rest. I'm so excited, thought Bee. A real adventure. When you get outside, fly high in the sky, the head honeymaker continued. Bee was getting impatient. Make sure to watch out for, shouted the honeymaker. There's going to be so much to see, thought Bee, shivering with joy. Now you'll only find the way to Nectar Bay if you follow these instructions, called the honeymaker. I can't wait any longer, shouted Bee. Buzzing her wings, wiggling her bottom, and twitching her antennae, she was off. Away from her sisters, down through the hive, out into the world. She flew high into the sky, on her way to Nectar Bay. Bee looked around. The green of the garden lay below, and the roasting hot sun shone down. A big grin came over her. Where to now, she thought. Down below, she saw some legs. Many, in fact, on either side of a long, slim body. What could Bee see? Do you know the way to Nectar Bay? She asked. The creature replied, I'm a creepy little crawly with many pairs of legs. I'm a surprisingly good mother and take great care of my eggs. I hide under the stone where it's dark and damp and cool. My head looks like my tail, which makes predators easy to fool. I'm a ferocious, hungry hunter with a bite that stings, and furry one, you look like a tasty thing. What do you think this creature was? That's right, a centipede. Fear flooded over her. Not today, she thought. I've got an important job to do. And with that, she flew high in the sky, up, up and away. She had escaped being eaten, but she still didn't know the way. Bee looked around and saw a familiar sight. Black and yellow, furry and round, a forager in flight. What could Bee see? Do you know the way to Nectar Bay? She asked. The animal replied. We look very similar, you might be confused. Of being a bee, I could be accused. From elsewhere I have come, from east to west. An invasive species, they say, an unwelcome guest. You see, bugs and beasties, they're ever so sweet. Come a little closer, and you could be my treat. This wasn't her sister, it was much more sinister. A hornet, a big bad bully. She flew high in the sky, out of reach of the hungry hornet. This adventure was turning out to be much scarier than she'd thought. Down below, she saw some flowers. Could this be Nectar Bay? Landing on a leaf, she looked around. Something didn't look right. It wasn't nearly as colourful as she'd imagined. Into the flower she stuck her tongue, longing for the nectar she'd come to find. 1, 2, 3, slurp! Nothing. She tried again. 1, 2, 3, slurp! Still nothing. One last time. 1, 2, 3, slurp! It'd run dry. She thought, sinking down onto her bottom. Why is there no nectar? I wonder what's happened to these flowers. In a grump, and with a thump, she sat down and suddenly realized how tired she was. Under the hot summer sun, she was slowly warmed. Her eyelids became heavy, fuzziness came over her, and she drifted gently off to sleep. Sometime later, Bee was jostled awake from her slumber. Looking back at her were thousands of eyes. She jumped backwards and rubbed her own. 6 legs, 2 wings, and more eyes than she'd ever seen before. It was a butterfly. Do you know the way to Nectar Bay? Said Bee. The butterfly replied, Sorry to disturb you. I gave you a fright. I'm only a brilliant butterfly, colourful and bright. Roasting hot and dry as dust, we call it a drought. Flowers have gone thirsty, no water's been about. You seem a little weak, so let me be kind. Just over there, Nectar Bay you'll find. Brilliant, shouted Bee, leaping into the air with a buzz. Thanks ever so much. She flew high in the sky, flowers in her sight. She was on her way to Nectar Bay. Hundreds of buzzing bees were hunting for their treasure. More colours than a rainbow, a sight to behold. Off to the side she found her flower. She approached with care, tongue at the ready. 1, 2, 3, slurp! The most glorious of tastes tickled her tongue. It was there that she'd found the sweetness within. She slurped until she was full, as round as she'd ever been. It was time to go home and deliver the goods. The honeymakers were waiting. Steering clear of the hornet, staying well out of sight, over the centipede and into the hive, she landed with a bump. Blah! The nectar came rushing back up, into the beeswax below, all set for the next step. Where have you been? Called a voice from behind. Bee spun around, and what did she see? The head honeymaker approaching with a deep furrowed brow. We were ever so worried you didn't know the way. You see, the Nectar Collectors have a secret to tell. Directions to fly the foragers know well. Watch as they dance and wiggle their bums. Nectar Bay you will find, so you can fill your tums. Bee didn't know the waggle dance. Do you know the waggle dance? Shall we learn it together? A wiggle waggle wiggle to the left. A wiggle waggle wiggle to the right. A wiggle 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 in a figure of 8. A waggle 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 back on the straight. A wiggle waggle this way. A wiggle waggle that way. Now follow these directions and you'll get to Nectar Bay. Bee took a rest. It was a tough job being a nectar collector. Right then and there she decided, never again would she fly without direction. The waggle dance was key, and smart she would be. And that, everyone, is the story of Nectar Collectors. Aren't bees amazing? I'm going to find out as much as I can. And let's make sure there are loads of happy, healthy bees outside.